All right, everybody, welcome back to Tech and Prep, a longer video on my short little rant on the shorts. You're not a hacker, all right? You're not Mr. Robot. If you know, you know. You're not some guy on CSI who sits in Starbucks and hacks the world and gets away with it and walks away with a wry smile on his face because nobody knows who you are. We know who you are, okay? Unless you're tech savvy, we know who you are. And I'm not going to explain how to hide these things. You can look this up. It's somewhat not difficult to obfuscate stuff. Is that the word? Am I pronouncing that right? It's nearly impossible to get away with this stuff unless you are multiple levels state sponsored. And this is why. We'll start off with something really simple, a MAC address. What is a MAC address? A MAC address is a hardware ID that is burned into the bit of your computer that connects to the internet, whether it's your network interface card, your NIC, whether it's on your phone, on your laptop, whatever. By law, it has to have one. Can you spoof them? Yes, you can. That is a whole different conversation. That MAC address is tied to your phone. Your phone is tied to your iAccount or your Gmail account. It's also tied to a purchase order or when you went into the store to buy it or when you ordered it off Amazon or whatever. And then that is tied to a credit card, which is tied to you, which is tied to your address, which is tied to your identity. Do you understand? You can't get away from that. Even if you use a VPN, that information is logged somewhere. So if you're sitting in Starbucks and you're sitting there typing nasty things into social media and you're like, haha, they're never going to know where I am. I'm not at home. I'm sitting here in a public library or I'm on Starbucks or I'm at the airport. We got your MAC address. The MAC address ties to you directly. Think of it like a social security number. We know who you are. You can't get away from it. Airport, hotel, coffee shops, they all keep logs. Now, how long do they keep the log? Could be days, could be months, could be years. I used to work for an ISP, internet service provider. They kept records for an undetermined amount of time, and then they kept backups forever. So if they needed to go back 5, 10, 15 years, they could go back that long. It's a pain in the ass to do it, but they could do it. And that could still tie to you somehow. Next up is your IP address. What is your IP address? Go out to the internet and type in, what is my IP? It'll pull up an IP address. That IP address is assigned to either your home if you're at home, or it's tied to a block of IPs. Let's say you have T-Mobile or Verizon or whatever you have for your provider. That is tied to that. They now know that your phone is, let's say, a Verizon phone, and they have your MAC address. So they will contact Verizon and go, this MAC address is doing bad things. And Verizon will go, here's all the information you could ever know about it. They'll give it logs from the day it was set up. Everywhere you go, every website you go to, every download, everything about you is in those logs. The internet provider knows it. VPNs can help, but there's a thing called a DNS leak. Do you know what a DNS leak is? A DNS leak is when your DNS provider leaks what you're doing. There's browser fingerprinting. A browser fingerprinting is pretty bad. What is a browser fingerprint? Your browser, whether it's Safari or Firefox or God forbid you use Edge or whatever you use, it makes a very unique fingerprint. Meaning, it records what your fonts are, what your screen size is, what your GPU, your graphics card is, the driver version of your graphics card, and perhaps even the model of your graphics card, the extensions you have loaded on your browser, the time zone you're in. You put that all together, and that is a very unique fingerprint that's almost like, that's why they call it a fingerprint. It's almost impossible that there's two people that have the exact same thing. Like, let's say you and your wife buy a laptop together. Let's say it's a Dell laptop, a Dell whatever laptop, and Windows 11, right? Well, you go off and you use your laptop, and your wife goes off and uses her laptop, and she loads shit into her browser. You load different browser because you're kind of tech savvy, and then all this shit happens. Give it more than a day, and now those two laptops are distinctly different. They each have individual fingerprints that are different and express who you are and what you're doing. Oh, your browser is a snitch. That's all I can say. Your phone is worse. It constantly broadcasts your IMEI, which is your MAC address for your phone, and your SIM ID. What's your SIM? Your SIM card is either electronic or physical, that little card that goes into your phone that ties you to your provider, T-Mobile, whatever, Verizon. That is tied back to you. How is it tied back to you? It's tied back to your credit card, who is you. But I don't pay for that. I go in and I pay, I pay in cash at a CD 7-Eleven in some shitty part of town. Well, cool. They have security cameras, and I can go in there and find out that your phone was given extra time on Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I go subpoena their security cameras, and I get the security footage. Well, their cameras don't work. Well, I know that it happened at this time, so now I go and I subpoena all the security cameras around that 7-Eleven, and I find you because I see you pull up in your car, and I get the license plate reader from the flock camera down the street or the traffic camera. Do you see? This is why people get caught. But not only is it giving this ID out, it's giving cell tower location. They can use cell towers to triangulate you. How do you think they find people that are lost? The carrier logs every call, every text, and every data session. So if you think the text message you're sending to your friend saying nasty things or inappropriate things or whatever are private, unless you're using something like Signal or Telegram, they're not. They're encrypted, not necessarily private. Then you have the apps on your phone. They collect what's called an advertising ID. That also gives them the location. Some of them give you your contacts. Some of them have microphone access. And then they have usage patterns. And then what do? They bundle that and they sell it to data brokers. And now the data brokers have profiles on you. And then what do? You pay a couple $100 a year to places like Delete Me to delete that shit. Then there's account linking. Okay, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon. Once you sign in, your identity follows you across apps, browsers, and devices. And your cloud sync ties to your photos, your messages, your contacts, and your backups. For example, on YouTube this morning, I saw a video on peptides. I was curious, what are peptides? What's this all about? Never looked them up before in my life. I heard about them, never looked them before in my life. I watched one video, not even like 30 seconds to see what it was about. And I come to my phone and I start browsing through something on my phone. I go to my phone and I go on Reddit to check something for work. And what's the first fucking ad I see? Peptides. How did my TV that has a YouTube account that's not tied to the same email that I'm logged into with my phone, or that is tied to my same email as my phone, but not tied to the same email address I use for my Reddit, how am I getting peptide ads from my TV, which is a smart TV, which is all this stuff is blocked, to my phone, to my Reddit account? Because they're called account linking. Ties all together. And like other videos, your photos, your messages, all that shit, ones like Gmail and Apple and all those, they're being scanned, they're being backed up, they're being logged, they're being used for AI language learning models. And then you get on public Wi-Fi. God, don't get on public Wi-Fi. They log your device, your MAC address, timestamp. Even you're sitting at a fucking Starbucks and you start doing nasty shit online. You start doing shit you're not supposed to do online. They have security cameras everywhere. They know who's there. They saw that you bought your crappy latte whatever with a credit card. They tie that credit card back to you. They tie you to that share. They tie that to that device you're using, and now they got you. And to wrap it all up, I've talked about them before, data brokers. They buy and sell your private browsing history, your purchases, your location data, and even your IP logs. They build profiles about you, then they sell those to advertisers, insurance companies, and even governments. That's why when you go online, if you're looking to buy airline tickets or trying to book tickets, use an incognito type browser or private browser so they can't read the cookies. Use a VPN, stuff like that. You wrap it all up, it's unavoidable. The modern internet was not built for privacy, it was built for tracking. So unless you go deep into this kind of shit and you start blocking all this stuff, or you start buying cell phones in cash from shady people and have someone else record all your, buy all your time and you don't drive your car and just everything. I mean, you're not Mr. Robot. Right? You're not a hacker. Stop doing stupid shit online. You're going to get caught and you're going to get in trouble. Anyhow, thanks for listening to the rants. If you like this type of content, like and subscribe, and I'll go into more detail. All right, we'll talk to you later.